You're listening to Edging the Truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Edging the Truth, the podcast that takes you to the edge, but no further. Or the edge of the truth, but no further. Whatever. Fucked it up. Episode 15. We're here. I'm finally getting to host once again. Wonder why they made it so in between so many episodes for that, because I'm already fucking shit up. But I'm Fudge. I'm Andy, whatever you want to call me. I'm joined, as always, by Debbie Downer. Brian Shenanigan. I'm joined by Red Raspus. And, of course, my buddy One Lung over there, Mikey, is joining us as well. We've got an awesome episode for you guys today. This is, I don't want to say a two-parter. We've got a guest. He's going to be here for back-to-back episodes. This is the first one of that episode. He left us an awesome voicemail. He actually left us 3 different voicemails. We're going to be discussing the 2 topics he brought up in that first one in these upcoming episodes. Today, we're going to be talking about hollow earth theory. Is it real? Is it not? We'll find out, hopefully, by the end of this podcast. But joining us to do that is going to be our good buddy ConViktion, also known as Con. Been a super great listener, great friend of the podcast. I think he's commented a novel on just about all of our YouTube videos. He binged like 14 episodes all in a weekend because he's a crazy person, but we can't thank him enough for that. But Con is actually... Yeah, super fan for real. He's got the top fan badge on Facebook for sure. But Con came into our Funch Brunch universe through our good buddy Mikey over here. So Mikey, why don't you tell us a little bit about Con? Tell the listeners about who's joining us today.
So ConViktion is a great dude from the East Coast of Pennsylvania. He loves to hang out with his doggy, and he loves some conspiracy theories. But I met him through Higher Calling Entertainment, which was my stream that I used to do, and he was one of our IT background gurus that would help with everything. Super intelligent with anything IT related, but coming with that comes a wide range of knowledge and some crazy theories. And we've had many nights of conversations of random thoughts and music and everything. So he's definitely a great person to come and hang out and try and convince us of some theories that he wants to talk about.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little different on these 2 episodes we see with Con. We have not done as much research as normal, and we're going to emphasizing him kind of, convincing us of this. So he's going to be doing a lot of the talking, bringing a lot of the facts. Obviously, we've still brought some stuff to the table, and we will be giving our opinions and our final verdicts and stuff like that. But we're super excited for this awesome conversation coming up with Con. I think before we do that, Red, should we play some voicemails for the
absolutely.
people?
We've got 3, and I think we played his first voicemail in our last episode because this would
Did we
be
play the whole thing, or did we just play a piece?
We played the whole voicemail on the last episode because he won our please call and win the mouse and win a free T-shirt. So we played the voicemail for that. So we'll play that one first, and and because these are the 2 topics that he suggested, and which we are going to be recording with him today. So here's that first voicemail. This was left on May 4th.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Con. So, I got a couple topics that I kind of want you guys to talk about. One of them, spontaneous human combustion. Yeah, kind of like you hold farts in for too long, and then you blow up. What do you think? Is it real? Or is it fake? We'll find out. The other one, hollow earth theory. We all know that the flat earth theory is a bunch of bullshit, but what about the hollow earth theory? I know what I think about it. What do you? All right. I can't wait to hear you guys. I love this podcast, by the way. Talk to you later. Bye.
So that's his first, and we're doing those 2. We're going to be recording those 2 episodes with him here today. Here are his additional podcast voicemails.
Hey, it's Con again. All right, I don't know why I started so hot. I apologize, but I had one more topic for you. I am letting you know I am listening to the 11th episode of the podcast right now, MH370. And Brian made a good point, and I actually was thinking about offering this up for a topic anyway. Bermuda Triangle. What do you guys think of it? Let me know. Can't wait to hear from you guys. All right, later, bye.
I cannot wait to talk about that one, by
What
the
was
way.
the point I made that involved the? He's like, I made a good point. I have no idea what that point was. I have no idea.
You were probably high. It's okay.
So yeah, I mean, planes go missing. We were talking about a missing plane. So
okay,
yes, Bermuda Triangle missing plane, and here is his delightful, very short but sweet final third voicemail.
Yeah, let me get a large pepperoni, a Diet Coke, and a podcast about astrology. Yeah, this is gone. Bye.
Yes, yeah. Yes, throwing a little humor our way. We would greatly appreciate it. We need some chuckles from beyond the four of us, that's for sure. So that was Con's third and very short and sweet but fun voicemail. Fudge, what do you think? Should we? You want to have us discuss this a little bit before we bring Con out?
Yeah, let's do some preliminary discussions, fellas. So we are talking Hollow Earth. This is a theory that dates back quite a few hundred years. I don't remember the guy's name that came up with this at first, but basically the theory was there at each pole of the Earth, there's two openings or entrances, and there is not just a hot molten lava liquid metal core in the middle
Liquid
of the
hot
Earth.
magma.
It's hollow. Obviously, there's space. There's said to be civilizations and shit down there that are, I don't think aliens is the right term, but an advanced civilization. So, Brian, I'm going to cut it to you first. Let's get your kind of opening thoughts on this. Anything that really jumped out to you? Is this believable to you, like, at all?
Well, first of all, I think of all of our conspiracy theories, I think this is one of the few that we've actually talked about that is a modern that's not a modern construct that goes back like hundreds of years. I mean, I guess ghosts, you could say, is we've had ghosts forever. Bigfoot is more of a modern thing. A lot of these other ones, a lot of the other conspiracies are definitely modern and are basically kind of built on pop culture, or at least in the last couple hundred years. But this is a couple hundred years, but this is old. I mean, this is Jules Verne, this is Center of the Earth. This is, some of the first movies or any kind of media was like all this whole Hollow Earth thing, in the old black and white movies. I mean, it's one of those things that's like, it's just a lot of different books on it, all that stuff. Now, I mean, I'm a man of science and soils, and I will say like that I do not believe, yes, I believe we have a core to this Earth, and there's a lot of liquid hot magma, and just a lot of assorted strata, if you want to use an industry term. So it's I don't think there's a Hollow Earth. I like the idea of it. Honestly, I was thinking about my oldest experiences with sci-fi and books and stuff, and I love dinosaurs and everything. And it was like I was always like kind of like a thing. Especially when I was younger. I was like I kind of thought there was dinosaurs in the Earth. It was kind of a hope thing that they had to kind of be somewhere. But that was. I can remember as a young man, my thing is like, there's got to be, I bet they're in the Earth and all that, and not just in the Earth is bones. But it was, it was something that my first sci-fi experience, I guess you could say, was kind of the Hollow Earth thing. And Jules Verne and all those other things where it's like, Journey to the Center of the Earth, all that stuff, as well as other books that dealt with kind of this subject. I never, it's old, and a lot of people still believe it, and I only from the depths of stuff that I've done in my life and things that I've studied and whatnot, there's not possible that there's anything but Earth in the Earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, mole people, I'm on the border. I could go either way on mole people. I feel like they're not that deep. I think that's still a topic for another episode. But I think in this one in general, I'm not a believer in Hollow Earth theory, but I can see why it's so widely accepted. It is one of the oldest we've done. And honestly, of all of the other things we've kind of talked about, it's believable. And especially if you go back all the way, we thought the Earth was flat, which is a whole other thing. But it's like, people, well, it's not flat. Well, it's got to be empty. There's got to be something in there. So I could see a lot of people just having that that belief. It's just been fact forever. Nobody ever understood magma or what was down low. All they knew was how far you could dig. So, but yeah, for Hollow Earth, yeah, you're gonna have to convince me real hard that there is something down there. Because trust me, I want to see some dinosaurs. I want to saying like I want to slee stack. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to hang out with my boy with his weird hands like that.
Yeah,
kissing and shit. Like classic Marshall, Will, and Holly. You know the vibes. But no, like I said, Khan's got a big uphill battle to convince me. I accept the theory. I understand why people could even still believe it to this day. But like just knowing, volcanoes, ocean, whatnot, it's I know it's there. I know it's there because you're implying that it's the oceans are deep. No.
Right. I remember one of the videos. One of the guys was talking about how they started digging, and they got 8 miles deep into the earth, and they had to stop because it was too hot. And it's like the core was another 400 miles away from that. So it's impossible for us to even get down there to really see. If not, I guess unless you believe that explorer that was said to go, he did a expedition to the North and the South Pole, and apparently entered in there into one of the entrances through there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll cut it to Mikey and get your kind of opening thoughts here on this Hollow Earth theory.
Oh, I didn't do a ton of research on this, mainly because I never really thought of it as a real thing. But I do remember as a kid, watching The Land of the Lost and enjoying the TV shows. But I never thought in my mind, oh yeah, that's definitely a real thing. I think that the biggest thing that I always thought of that was below me in the earth was hell. And that's from growing up in church.
Also, in fact, I didn't think about that. That's why that explained the heat, because everybody's like, "Oh, that's hell down there."
Exactly.
That's classic forever.
Yeah. So if there's anything in the middle of the earth, that's always what I was taught that it was. But there are some interesting ideas around this, and I'm not out of all the different conspiracies that we've thought of, or that we've talked about, I should say. It's not the craziest. But with today's technology and knowing, like Brian said, the guy got 8 miles deep and was like, I had to stop, and we know volcanoes, and we know, there's so much technology nowadays to know.
Just go into a cave. We've all been in a cave, right? The deeper you go, that shit gets hot.
Now, if you wanted to talk about there being secret cave communities around the world.
Yeah, that's different.
I'm in.
Totally different. That's another day subject.
But a hollow earth, if it's hollow, it's because someone dug out the ground around it. I don't really believe that there's a full on hollow earth and anything like that. But it's interesting. I'm ready to see what Con has to say and see if he can convince me.
Right. So let's go up to Red. Red, you ordered a book specifically for this episode.
I did. I got the book learning. The book that is sort of the premise of this guy who was an explorer, and this guy did actually exist. This Admiral Byrd was supposedly that his story, the story that is very just normal if you read it like most people would read it.
What year was this?
Oh, this would have been the explorations. I think were in. Let's see here. The explorations would have been.
Are we talking 1800s here?
No, this would have
early
been in
19s.
In the 50s.
Oh, 50s. Are we okay? So we modern times. We electronic items.
Yeah, we're talking about flying with an airplane.
Okay.
And he had done a lot of stuff flying for the military, but and including supposedly, being the first person to fly to one of the poles. But his final big, thing in the 50s was supposedly that he discovered these, thousands of miles of caverns and then this other world. And he was confused that he wasn't actually above ground and blah, 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 blah. And all, not to mention, though, I should mention in this book that came out in the 60s, also, it says that this is where the UFOs come from. Right. I think once you start to follow the path of this concept, And again, while yes, the modern scientific construct of it from the same guy that named Halley's Comet was part of the hollow Earth theory and the idea that there was a sun in there that rotated and had day and night. I read all of this stuff as being just derived from the Greeks and Romans concept of the underworld and it evolving over time. And also, we talked about hell. This was a physical place. It was under the ground. We have Tibetan Buddhism has Shambhala as being underground, right? These are not new concepts to science fiction over the last 200 or 300 years. These things have been around for a while. So I feel like when it comes into science in the 1700s, that's one thing. But even then, I mean, you go to the Wikipedia page on hollow Earth theory, and this was scientifically disproven in the 1770s, for crying out loud, right? Like nobody talks about this in any way as being part of reality.
Oh, so he was bringing it back in the 50s.
Yeah. I mean, so all of this stuff, all of this modern, and again, I feel like what's the most modern reference of this in the zeitgeist? It's the new King Kong Godzilla universe stuff, where that's how the Godzilla has to go to the center in the hollow Earth, and he can, or King Kong has to go there, and that's where the throne is, and he gets the Godzilla thing, and he comes back to the regular. Like, that's as far as I get with it. It's just another version of all of that stuff over the last 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years. It sure doesn't seem like there's any kind of scientific basis for this, at least not one that seems provable, because it's definitely been disproven multiple times, and that was well over 250 years ago. So
right. And so now we're just waiting for the man himself to join us. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and when we come back, we will be with the one and only ConViktion, and he will try to convince all of us. I mean, I don't even know, does he believe this, or is he like skeptical?
I'm not so sure on this one. We talked a little bit about this. He definitely has an opinion about spontaneous combustion that he did say, I could believe this. There's enough.
Oh, me too.
He feels like there's enough evidence that he could believe that one. I don't know so much about this one, and I'm definitely curious to see where he falls, because there's not a lot to support it, especially given modern science. Even if they had it wrong 250 years ago, we've definitely disproven it by now.
Absolutely. So we'll be right back with our special guest, ConViktion. Don't go anywhere. This is Edging the Truth, episode 15. Go to www.edgingthetruth.com for all of our episodes, ways to listen and watch, ways to support the show, ways to follow the social media at Edging the Truth everywhere. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Edging the Truth. We'll be right back with ConViktion. Joining us now on Edging the Truth is a very special guest, a guest that may be a little bit tipsy, a guest that was late in true fashion of this podcast, where we had no idea what was going on. Mr. ConViktion joins Edging the Truth, episode 15. We are discussing one of the topics from his voicemail. We're talking today about the hollow Earth theory. We kind of did a little preview. You heard from the four of us, from Brian, Red, One Lung, and I, about our preliminary thoughts on this. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into this, but we're bringing Con in, and I think we mentioned it. We don't know which side of this he is on. I think the four of us are kind of calling bullshit a little bit, but I would love to be convinced the other way. So, Con, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the voicemails, the incredible comments on YouTube. So, yeah, I guess let's just dive right into it. Let's get your opening statement about the hollow Earth theory.
And for the record, he wasn't not paying attention. He's rolling a blunt. That's why he was.
You got to get on the same page with the rest of us.
Yes. I just want to make sure he was not being rude. He is just acknowledging his intro and rolling a blunt, which is I think that is brings you to our first sponsor of Edging the Truth, weed.
Yes.
We smoke it. We love it. Please give us some for free. Weed.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
We
no,
eat
if you
it.
do that, I'm definitely coming back. I'm definitely coming back if you get some of that for free. So the Hollow Earth theory. A lot of people actually believe that this idea was actually popularized by Jules Verne with his books Journey to the Center of the Earth, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. However, there were people actually back even in the 1300s where most people still thought the Earth was flat, actually believed that the Earth could actually be hollow. One of the it's interesting because depending on how you like which model of the hollow Earth you look at, it's either like a donut where there's like a hole in between where you can actually get in and out of like the planet or the atmosphere, or
I don't think you need to put quotes on planet. I think
I'm saying out, so you can get out of the planet.
Yes.
But you know, there's another one where the entire Earth is fully just encapsulated in a ball, pretty much. Now, you guys asked what my feelings were on this. Well, let me tell you something. I am a very, very strong believer that this shit is bullshit.
Happy for a minute. Happy for a minute.
Really? Like, you think you know
Now,
somebody, and then, you know, they tell you they want to go to the center of the earth.
Now, I will say that, like, it does bring up a lot of interesting points, but I think also if you are a big enough physics nerd, which unfortunately I am, you can pretty much easily debunk anything that comes up with the Hollow Earth theory. Now, it is interesting because I feel like the Hollow Earth theory has become... I'm sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking.
No, you're good, man.
We're talking. But you,
like,
I
I feel
agree
like...
with you. I'm just going to say science.
Exactly. Now, the Hollow Earth theory is interesting because it takes a lot of pseudoscience and we'll say amateur observation. It's essentially people looking at things and trying to figure out things that they're not necessarily educated on, or they're looking at things and saying that doesn't seem right with what I've learned in a textbook. That's me, or therefore everything I've learned in textbooks is wrong. But it's also odd because the Hollow Earth theory has become such a centralized kind of hub for other conspiracy theories, and even ones that you guys talked about. Like, there's a conspiracy theory that the Denver airport has a tunnel that leads to the center of the Earth, and that's how the lizard people traverse.
We didn't. I don't remember us talking about lizard people Earth tunnel.
You did. We must have been really high because we did talk about lizard people in the Denver
but we didn't
airport
say that
episode.
they had a tunnel to the center of the Earth there. I mean, we just said.
Well, they
lizard
lived
people,
underground. I mean, it's
tunnel.
part of the conspiracy theory.
I didn't realize lizard people and Hollow Earth were so interconnected. At least, Dax, I should have known. My bad.
Amateur.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting because again, it's like, Denver airport, with its underground tunnels and the Hollow Earth theory are connected. Earthquakes and the Hollow Earth theory are connected, of course. The Hollow Earth theory states that earthquakes are actually either some kind of void forces from the outside of the planet trying to get in, or it's the actual Earth shifting so that it stays encapsulated within itself.
Bullshit.
They kind of glaze over volcanoes a little bit because they're like, how the hell does this like work with our thing? But yeah, it's interesting because again, it's like it can tie into the Illuminati. It ties into lizard people. It ties into Denver airports. It ties into natural disasters. It ties into aliens.
Yeah,
it ties
UFOs,
into
for sure.
pretty much. Yeah, it ties into pretty much any other conspiracy theory that you can think of. And if it doesn't, I'm pretty sure somebody can number 23 that bitch into like fit. You know what I mean?
That's also always like a big flag to me that like, hey, wait a minute. This is the catch-all. This is the new, whenever this was fashionable, like this book that I read that came out in the 60s, like, oh, well, now we're using this to explain this, and we're using this to explain that, and we're just throwing everything at it and going, well, it could be the reason for all of these things having happened. And it's sort of like, yeah, that there's no way it can be all of these things, right? There's no way it can be all of these things happening at the same time. It can't be aliens and lizard people and causes earthquakes, and there's a sun in the center, and there's a blah, 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 right? By the way, I'm curious, Con, when did you first hear about the Hollow Earth theory as a thing?
Oh, I heard about the Hollow Earth theory probably when I was in 8th grade. So I've known about it for a while. So I'm a very big conspiracy theory junkie. Like I've studied conspiracy theories just because I want to know, like, one, how they started, what's the evidence of them, how I can debunk them if I need to, or I'm just trying to figure out how people think. So I learned about the Hollow Earth theory in 8th grade. I actually learned about it before the Flat Earth theory, which was kind of interesting. And then from there, I just went crazy. But yeah, 8th grade was the first time that I had heard about it. I read about 4 different books on it. I started doing a bunch of internet research on it. I tried to find a Hollow Earth theory believer to try and talk to him, but people aren't very forthcoming with that, or they weren't back then. They probably will be now since we have flat earthers putting YouTube videos up. But yeah, it's been a while. It's been quite a while.
Well, that's one of the explanations in this book is that, you know, the reason that this place hasn't been discovered in the North and South Poles is that it's a giant secret, right? It's a conspiracy theory to cover it up. And even one of the videos that we watched that was on Daily Motion of like zooming into Google Earth and going, hey, look, here's the opening. Isn't this curiously weird that it looks man-made? And oh, look, there's a face in that picture. And I'm kind of like, well, I mean, yeah, maybe it doesn't look that real to me. I mean, that could be easily photoshopped and faked as far as I'm concerned, you know? So like, where is this? I mean, there've been people in these places forever, right? Like the what's the movie, The Thing? Like very famously, like that's based on a real place, right? There was a research station there and all that stuff. It would have been found. Yeah. I'm more likely to believe the story in The Thing than to believe that the Earth is hollow.
I mean, but like you can't cover up something in a place that's not secure. Like nobody's holding down the North and South Poles. It's not a secure location. It is like it's anybody can go there. It's just we choose not to because of inhospitability. But you don't think fucking drones and planes and all that kind of stuff hasn't mapped that whole shit from coast to coast? I mean, come on, amateur even. I'm not talking government. I'm talking some Chewbacca with drones rolling around. Look at all the stuff I mapped with my drone. I mean, for real. Like it's I just can't. You can't hide giant center of Earth holes. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think it's also interesting that it's such an old theory, right? It's like Con said, it's 1300s, right? When a lot of people thought that the world was still flat, and at this point they were thinking that it's a hollow Earth. At that point, like, what happens if they dig a hole? They're gonna fall through the middle. Like, where are they gonna go? It's a flat Earth and it's hollow. These motherfuckers are dumb.
Yeah, they don't go together.
Con, was there any part of this, any theory that was like somewhat believable to you?
That's a long pause.
I mean, we talked a little bit about, in our prep about there being, obviously caves and things like that. There are many of these sorts of natural formations that sort of fall into the purview of the Hollow Earth theory, at least to a certain degree. But, I think that's about as far as any of us got with being convinced.
Yeah, honestly, I will tell you the only reason I started looking into the Hollow Earth theory when I was in 8th grade was because I had, again, just following breadcrumbs. I was doing a research paper on cryptozoology and cryptids. One of the cryptids, the Jersey Devil. Where does he live? The blue hole. Where does the blue hole go? Who the fuck knows? So when I was looking at research on the blue hole, they were saying that it could be an entrance to the Hollow Earth theory. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I look it up, and like that's kind of how I fell into it. And I started thinking, like, there are quite a few craters that literally just look like they go into blackness, like they don't go into anything, and we don't have anything that can go deep enough to figure out what's actually down there. So when reading about the Hollow Earth, I was like, in my 8th grade brain, I was like, oh, it leads to a void. That makes sense to me, to be completely honest, but that might also be because I play a lot of video games. You fall through the earth and then it's just void. But Yeah, I mean, I think that at that point in time, it was more I was trying to figure out where all of these like different caverns and just giant sinkholes and like shit like that actually go. And Hollow Earth pretty much said they go into a void. Didn't make full sense to me, but I was like, well, that's an explanation. Let's see what else I can find.
For in some of the theories, like they believe that there's like a full-on sun and moon and stuff down in the Hollow Earth, and it's
universe
like
up in there.
yeah, that's some crazy talk to me.
Yeah, and there are some very, very strange maps of the Hollow Earth and like different like topographical maps and stuff like that. One legitimately looks like a good donut. I'm pretty sure that's Brian's favorite.
I do enjoy a good donut map. I love a good
Roasted.
donut map. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, I've been friends with these guys for a while.
I'm a big donut hole guy too, so I mean, I'm fine with the planet just solo. I still think of a donut, whether it's like that or not. So
it's a donut hole at that point in time.
What about that theory that there's a body of water that has like 4 times the amount of water that our oceans on the surface has? Did you guys see that one?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was like the underground ocean or something.
yeah, our underground ocean. Yeah, I'm like, where do those things?
Yeah.
How deep is that underground ocean? Look
Yeah,
here.
there it is.
That looks like just like somebody sticks their finger in there. That's not true. That like more like
So-
a barrel.
Brian knows about
So
sticking
what-
his finger in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on one of the
In the
one
blue
of the
hole. That's what. That's I remember
Yeah, in the blue hole.
Blue hole.
Right in the blue hole.
on. Because when
Yeah,
you
just-
said blue hole, I'm
blue
like,
hole.
that's the blue hole.
Well, the Jersey Devil. You mentioned the Jersey Devil. We definitely need to do an episode. I mean, I'm with UConn. Like I came at a lot of these sorts of concepts, UFOs and things, as a kid through. I'm a Northwesterner, so Bigfoot Sasquatch is huge here, and of course that leads to cryptozoology and of course Loch Ness monster. In those years, the great television show In Search of. Had with Leonard Nimoy narrating was like the best, and it was all those things. And so I'm with you when it comes to like where do those stories come from, and how does that relate into all these other things? That fascinates me. And yes, we as we will hear when we get to the end of this episode, we have a suggestion for another cryptid in addition to the Jersey Devil. So I have a feeling we've got a few episodes already in the works for some great topics.
Well, and also just to build on what Fudge said about this whole underground ocean thing, it's like, if you go back, I'm a firm believer that the aliens are among us and they are hanging out in bases at the bottom of the ocean because we can't go down there, but they can't. You know that. Go back and watch the episode. It's canon, so you can go back and watch that. But I think that so much of the ocean in general is unexplored, and there's deep depths in the ocean that we physically cannot get to. Where if you got that space travel, you'd be hanging out down there, and it's a great place to hide from us on the surface as you're on your Earth vacation. But I don't think that they went into the Earth. I don't think they went. I don't think they pierced the crust. Like they're up top on it. So. But do I think that all of a sudden you get to a point and then just inside it flips over and then there's ocean on the other way, like that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean when they came back in Jack Sparrow and they flipped the ship and all of a sudden, no, we're not Jack Sparrowing this bitch. We're not Davy Jones Locker in this motherfucker. So, that's my ocean take.
I think it was pretty interesting. Another thing that was kind of interesting is like the amount of times you see kind of this hollow earth theory or a civilization inside the earth type thing in multiple cultures. I think like Nordic, there was Greek, obviously I think Red mentioned earlier, Muslim, no, was it?
Buddhism, Tibetan
Buddhism. And I mean, obviously like Christianity, I mean, you believe there's hell down there. So it's just interesting to me how it's not just kind of one group saying this. There are a bunch of different kind of interpretations for what's down there, whether it's bullshit or not. I mean, that I guess we're calling bullshit on it. So I don't know. I think we're all kind of in a pretty decent consensus here.
Yeah, I mean, it's low hanging fruit.
But I think that one thing you got to say is that Hollywood has really capitalized on it.
Yeah.
Well,
I
just
mean,
like all of
they're-
our topics.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean, and I think that's where a lot of these conspiracy theories live and thrive
and get
is,
boosted.
is and get boosted because of those things. But to me, and my logical brain is like, no, this is not real.
Well,
It's so
sorry, but-
beautifully depicted in the latest Godzilla King Kong movie, where he has to go through this path, and he emerges, and it's in this amazing kind of upside down world that's beautiful and is very much like what the conspiracy theorists, as well as people like Jules Verne, suggested, that there's this just beautiful space. And not that it's hollow all the way to the center, but that there is a hollow layer somewhere down there, and that it is sustaining life, and it's beautiful, and there's plants, and that's what the bulk of these conspiracy theories purport, is that there is at the very least a place that exists down there, and that for me that isn't so much of a stretch, that there's some place, some giant cavern that might be a ways down that has some way to get light or sustain life of some kind, or blah blah blah. Yeah, you could convince me of that scientifically to a certain degree, but a hollow earth altogether, I think with everybody else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean,
I think that
there's life down there. There is life down there. It's documented. Stuff does live in magma. There is life down. Nobody's saying there's not something potentially alive down there, but what level of organism that is TBD.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so, and I think that's the thing. Again, like, that's one of the reasons why I brought up hollow earth theory, is because there are three main diagrams for the hollow earth. There's the donut, there's the straight hollow, it's like the crust of the earth and we just live right here, and then this is like the galaxy in the middle. But there's another one where it's the standard earth, but then the core is hollow, and that core holds life, which is what Journey to the Center of the Earth was talking about. And it's actually kind of funny. One of the reasons that I brought this up is because there have been new scientific seismological scans that show that there may be a hollow core. It may not be a solid chunk of iron as we have been led to believe. Now, given this information has not been verified or anything like that, it's not on the most reputable sites. But they're also not saying that the Earth's core is absolutely hollow. They're saying there's a possibility that it's hollow from these scans. Now, if these scans came back and said that the Earth was hollow, how would you guys feel about it? You think at that point in time we got fucking T-Rexes and pterodactyls in the hollow?
Yeah, no, I'm still not
Earth?
believing any of that
Right.
stuff.
Yeah,
Gravity, pressure, no.
I wouldn't say that, like Brian said, there's not a living organism in there, but I don't think we got a pterodactyl flying around there laying its eggs and shit,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
And as
yeah,
Brian
'cause
said,
it's-
there is. I'm sorry. There is scientific evidence that certain mitochondria, paramecium, and other very microscopic organisms can live in lava and in just molten rock altogether. So, to Brian's point, we absolutely know that there are organisms living down there. How complex those organisms are is more debatable, but they have to kind of be simple organisms to have so much structure to their exoskeleton to actually live in molten magma. So it's not like you're going to see a human walk out of it, or a humanoid.
Well, yeah, and the conspiracy theory suggested a guy flew a plane in 1950 something to this place. There's no way that plane didn't get destroyed. How did he come back from it if in fact he did go to some place that's this hot? There's no way.
Yeah.
he had
There's
great
just-
skill. Great
Well,
skill.
Yes.
The greatest
Didn't he
pilot
say-
of all
And
time.
his plane was made out of asbestos, so
Well,
it
didn't-
survived.
Didn't the
Plot
guy
twist,
say
it was
it's
Jimmy
like
Cooper.
he said it was like a hole, and it was like a bunch of lush green like forests and stuff or something like that, where it wasn't supposed to be.
Yes.
Well, and
That-
it's also like a stretch to assume that there's just a light source down there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's I don't know. Yeah.
What's the deepest that they've been able to dig? Is it the 8 miles? Because I know there was
so.
one video we watched where it was like you know, they were doing some testing or whatever, and they got to 8 miles and they had to stop because it was too hot. Is that the farthest somebody's gone? Because I know that video was from a couple years ago.
Was that man-made, or I feel like people have to have drilled deeper than that.
No, 8 miles is about as low as you can get. So crude oil is usually within 5 to 6 miles underneath the Earth's core or Earth's surface. Once you hit 8 miles, you get into molten layers as you get closer to the core. So as it gets too hot while you're digging down, it's because you're getting closer and closer to the molten layers. And if you dig too deep, you will create a man-made volcano.
So it says that the deepest hole is on the Kola Peninsula in Russia, and it's 7 kilometers deep.
What's that
How
in
far
English?
above sea level is that?
Yeah.
23,000.
No, that's not. Yeah, that's not.
It's 23,000 feet.
Yeah.
And I know he was quick to research a deep hole, that guy. He was like ready for it. He's like, let me look at this deep
Someone
hole.
say, "Oh, I got you."
Still not
But
big
I think,
enough.
like, it's the whole thing is it's the easiest fantasy. It's the longest thing. If you were a primitive man, you went to a cave, you would know how far that thing went. You know, you'd do all those things. It's the first fantasy ever is that there's something under your feet. It's either the devil or whatever. We bury our dead in the ground under your feet. The dead are there. You know, it's like all of those kind of things of this. It's like nothing up there. There must be something down there. You know, like that's the oldest kind of, you know, the hell's down there, all that stuff. Heaven's up there, hell's down there. It's always like the evil below your feet, or there just has to be something down there. Because even the flat earthers, there's still another side. There's still the flat side. You know what I'm saying?
They never talk about that though.
They still believe
They never talk about the flip side of the flat Earth.
Well,
Yeah,
and there is the exact opposite, right? I mean, don't all the gods always live on top of the Mount Olympus or, you know, places like that, right? They're the high places. So, I mean, it makes sense that there is an analogous opposite, you know.
the lows.
Yeah, there has to be in all of these things, whether it's religious based or it's some other kind of just cultural belief system, or superstition. It's the same thing, I think, you know. And,
Well,
and that, yeah, go ahead, Con.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say that, you know, one of the theory, or one of the earlier theories about where the concept of hell came from is from, I know I do that a lot, is from volcanoes. People saw volcanoes erupting and molten fire flying out of the mountain. And they're like, hell must be down there.
Yeah,
You know?
well, and the god of fire is Vulcan, right? Like, I mean, there's like that's just I think I got that right. It's I think that's correct.
I do like a good volcano, though. I love to. I want to poke it. So it's always feel like that liquid too. I just want to poke at it.
Yeah,
I
well,
know it's liquid, but I just love looking at a volcano.
but like
Ryan always wants to poke things.
Goddamn right. I want
every
to put my
kid
finger
made
in the center of the earth.
the vinegar and baking soda
Why do you have
volcano.
so
Like
many
these things are iconic parts of like cultural growing up and your knowledge of things, you know.
Yeah.
But I will say, like I said, the Earth is not a Dyson sphere to throw a Star Trek at you here. You know what I'm saying? There's no civilization on the inside with a star in the middle. You know, it's no. I'm just gonna say no. But I will say that my favorite phrase of this whole podcast so far has been void forces, which is a word you don't get thrown around a lot, and I like that. Void forces.
Void forces.
I got those void forces.
Yeah, I like that.
That's nice. But Blue Hole, I think, is also another one that's going to sit with me for a couple of days.
You need to stop saying hole, okay?
Have you not?
This whole episode is about a hole. This is a whole
true.
episode on hole.
Yes.
That's what we're doing right now.
Whole episode.
You need to
Last
keep your fingers
episode
to
was
yourself.
dicks. This episode's holes. I didn't make this up. You guys said
It's a
let's talk
theme.
about holes. I'm like, all
We
right.
said
we'll talk about
hollow
holes.
Earth. That's the difference between
I
a
will
hole.
say I've never dated
Yeah,
anybody that
yeah.
believed hollow Earth theory.
We got one. We got one, boys.
Never.
I did bang a chick in a cave, so I feel like that was like in the
No,
earth
that-
somehow.
That don't
So,
count. That
You
does not
just
count.
had to figure out a way to work it in.
all the angles, baby. And like I said, it's nice in a cave. It's cool. It's nice.
We're gonna have an amazing supercut of you
Just-
telling us from every episode.
And there's
Boys,
more to come.
Yeah, Brian made her a hollow Earth.
I think it's
Oh,
Sorry. Sorry.
gross.
girl, I'm gonna hollow that earth out.
Yeah, no. Just stop.
You know.
Quit while you're ahead.
I'm gonna put it in both your polls.
Well, I think that wraps up this episode.
Yeah, this will be the
let's
final
go-
episode of Edging
yes.
the Truth. We're so sorry for what has happened here today.
You think that this
Guys,
was
thank you for my first and last
all the other
appearance on
stuff
this
we said? You
podcast.
think this is the one that's gonna get us canceled?
You thought it was going to be a
We
two-part
spent cock
episode,
No.
Sean.
33 times
No, I'm not-
in the last episode. And you think this is what's gonna put us over the edge?
No, I'm not worried about getting canceled. I'm just disgusted. But I think we're at a good point here to kind of everybody give their final verdict and final thoughts on this. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be pretty unanimous here. Con, since you're our guest, I'll let you go first. We want to thank you again for being here for your first appearance. You will be joining us again to talk spontaneous human combustion on the next episode, which I believe we're going to get a little bit more fired up about, which I'm super excited for.
Bad pun.
So,
Gonna be an explosive time.
yeah, it's going to be, dude, it is. God damn it. Con, just give us your final thoughts on Hollow Earth Theory. I know you've been incredible tonight, besides being late.
Yeah, that's my bad. That's my bad. Listen, this whole time zone bullshit is some bullshit.
It's hard. I don't blame you.
It sucks. Yeah, and if I don't forget my phone, that'd be even better. So Hollow Earth as a whole, I say no.
As a whole,
I will say, and sorry, Hollow Earth as a solid structure or a donut, no. There being a hollow, like not even core, but a hollow pocket in the Earth where life could have, taken a different evolutionary turn, maybe. Like I have an easier time believing that there could be a hollow pocket somewhere in the Earth that has an unidentified life form, but I don't believe that the core of the Earth itself is hollow, just because if it was, we wouldn't have a magnetic field for our atmosphere or for gravity. Yeah. So yeah, that's me.
Mr. Shenanigans.
Yeah, no on the hollow earth. No, as much as I would like there. Even if there was something down there, like I said, there's no sun, there's no light source. There's plenty of stuff that's alive in caves, and this new stuff we're discovering every day. We're still finding shit in caves in the depths of the earth and all that stuff. So, do I doubt that maybe there's a pocket down there of something? Yeah, but it's not it's not dinosaurs. It's not a complex organism. It's probably something simple. Like I said, if we want to go like low Earth, I guess in this first mile, mole people still very much on the table. I think a lot of
loves mole people.
I think I've seen them. I'm in Vegas. I think I've seen.
Yeah,
more than one.
you've seen the people that live in the sewer in Vegas.
Oh, we have 10,000 people live in the sewers of Vegas. We definitely have some mole people. So I think, but I think there could be people below them. I'm just saying. So. But no on the hollow earth, no on the donut, no on the hole. Well,
you've never said no to a
donut. But I mean, it was. I do think it was a good discussion. I feel like it was good, but meh.
Mikey, what do you think?
Unequivocally, no. Like, definitely. I mean, I agree that there could be an empty pocket in there that Brian would like to have its time with, but
an empty pocket.
But as for a full-on second Earth down there, no, it's no.
Empty pocket, a euphemism for a hole.
Oh, I wrote empty pocket.
He was empty pocket. He was talking about a vagina.
Because that is fucking gold right there. Empty pocket.
I was trying to find a way to say it without saying hole.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, Brian's violations aside, I definitely don't think that this is a founded conspiracy. So,
Red Rasp kind of take us home a little bit on this.
Yeah, no, I'm with Con. None of the garbage, the UFOs or lizard people or any of that stuff feels like it's has any weight. But the little bits of science that we know that have disproven this seem to be well worth their weight in gold. And yeah, is there a possibility that we'll find some pocket like Con described? I could buy that. I could see that happening. But that certainly isn't what these conspiracy theories are talking about. Not like the book I read. That's for darn sure.
Sure. And yeah, this is a clean sweep. I don't believe this either. I think it's quite a stretch, especially with, I mean, we're in 2022. We're talking about theories that were made 300, well, I don't even know what you said, back to the 1300s, almost thousands of years ago. And just the technology we have now, the seismic scans that Con was talking about, it's kind of hard to argue with that. I know there is something to be said that, we've only gotten 8 miles in, and it's 400 miles after that to the core. So that is interesting. That leaves some mystery to it. Obviously, we talked about, Journey to the Center of the Earth, Land of the Lost, movies like that. It's interesting. I guess I'm with you guys that I guess I wouldn't be too surprised if there is some sort of hollow pocket there. I could kind of get in on that, but I think you guys pretty much knocked it out of the park here. We're calling bullshit on this one on episode 15 of Edging the Truth. So this is kind of a 2-part episode. Con's going to be joining us on the next episode 16, and then hopefully from there he'll fully replace Brian, and our transition will be pretty smooth.
Is it me? Am I the weak link here this whole time?
Yeah,
wait, I'm the new fat guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're trying to trade down to a skinnier fat? Come on, are you shaving me now?
We need a skinny fat.
We're not getting rid of you, Brian.
We're trying to hit the diversity quota.
I mean, none of us have fucked every girl in the world.
We
girls in the world. I'm just saying.
We thank you all for listening. We thank you to Con for joining us. We do have a little bit of cleanup to do before the episode is over. So, Con, if you want to stick around, by all means, do it. How about this? Yeah, listen to this voicemail we got. So, another listener has sent in a voicemail. He's my good buddy Trey. He has another theory for us. I know Red is the only one that has heard this so far. I'm super excited to hear it. So, premiering now, voicemail from my good buddy Trey, awesome listener of the show. We appreciate all the support from him. So let's get into that now, and then we'll close out the show.
What's up, guys? Just got done listening to your Denver airport episode, and had to call in since Big Fudge called me out. This is Trey Smith, aka Trey Daddy, calling in. Had a few topics I thought I might bring up, and you guys can let me know if they're stupid or not. First one I wanted to pitch at you is Yetis. Since we already talked about Sasquatches, I want to hear about the bones and poop of Yetis. Also, more importantly, I want to hear Brian fucked an albino person. Second, astrology. That would be a cool one, since, my girlfriend's into that stuff hard, and I feel like every female is right now. And I feel like that would be a good subject for the crew to kind of dive into as far as research goes. Anyways, One Lung wanted to give you a shout out. I am the listener that confused you for One Lung, and I apologize for that because One Lung is sick, and I appreciate you, bro. You're a good dude. I like hearing you on the pod, and I hope to hear from you guys. Let me know. See ya.
Oh, my God.
I also want to hear about Brian fucking an albino.
Frozen. We would have found Yeti poop. It would have been frozen. We find shit on Everest. Yeti poop. We would have found Yeti poop. Number one. Number two, how pale does a girl have to be called an albino?
That means yes.
I mean, if you look
I'm talking
to
true,
my
like,
left
like
at
white,
red,
white, like with white hair, like full albino.
Paler than me, for sure.
I've not
yeah,
done
that's
full
it.
albino.
If you look to my left at
Did
red,
you say
Lighter.
albino?
he did say albino. Is that just like an albino? Never mind.
Thank you so much.
I just want to say, Trey,
Leave all
thank you for
that albino
the kind
anymore,
words.
damn it.
Yes. Well, I mean, before we go, Con, you were the first person to call in, and you called in our voicemail. You left 3 wonderful voicemails, and you suggested 4 wonderful topics. One of which was also astrology, as I recall. And your third voicemail, yes, your third one was an episode about astrology. So that's now 2 votes for astrology now with Trey's voicemail. I think that's going to have to happen. But your prize included not just a fancy dancy mouse from HyperX, but a custom shirt that you had some input on designing yourself. It is right here in front of me. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
That's so good.
So this is coming your way in your size, in your color. We really appreciate all, dude. So all the if you have not, if you do not consume our podcast via YouTube, please go to our YouTube channel and look at Con's comments. This guy has truly written a college English course essay.
It's a short essay.
For
it's organized.
each
There's
episode
points.
that we have done to date, and I'm assuming we'll continue to do so. We appreciate it so much, and we appreciate people to call in the voicemail line. Our voicemail number is 917-979-6071. We love to play these voicemails for people on the podcast. We love getting them, we love hearing them, and we love sharing them. So
and you
please
could
give
be
us a
on
call.
this episode if you leave one. So
Absolutely.
the next episode could be you.
Absolutely.
And if you leave a voicemail, you too can replace Brian.
It could be.
So
and we're still, I believe there's still a contest. If you have had sex with me or anybody related to me, please, I guess I don't need to related to me, but you just call the thing and
That's awkward.
yeah, I guess we're adding
That's absolutely a competition I would not win.
That is
I ain't getting that one. I ain't
definitely
getting
getting cut.
If you bang
But,
the
I will say-
shenanigan, call in.
But I will say, yeah,
you
we
bump the
definitely,
shit
while
out
you're
of
listening
it.
to Reading Con stuff, make sure you like and subscribe our YouTube channel, guys. We definitely use the extra boost. Follow us on all the social media platforms. You got it. I mean, you can reach all the social media platforms from edgingthetruth.com, so it's easy, one-stop shop for all things Edging the Truth.
Absolutely. So this has been episode 15 of Edging the Truth. Tune in a couple weeks. Con's coming back. We're talking spontaneous human combustion, and it'll be Brian's farewell episode. Gonna be pretty emotional for all of us.
He's gonna spontaneously combust.
He's gonna, on the
On
episode.
camera.
Guys, we got
he's
bullet
gonna-
points. We're
dude,
talking
he's-
about this one. We're leaning in hard.
I'm getting the recipe from Con between now and the next time we record.
he's
so.
gonna-
We're gonna have an empty pocket.
Don't let him pick your pocket.
At the end of the episode, Brian's just gonna go full Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not fucking leaving.
I'd be like, I'm done with this.
I just want to know who's coming with me.
Cubicles are for closers.
Yeah. All right. Edging the Truth. We're out of here. Find us everywhere. Comment for the algorithm, like, subscribe, all that good shit that Brian said. At Edging the Truth on all social media. www.edgingthetruth.com. Thanks to Con. Thanks to Brian. Thanks to Dave. Thanks to Mikey. And thanks to me. Thanks to everybody that's called in. We're out of here.
Fudge.
Yeah, thanks to me.
Yeah.
Bye,
Jesus
Trey.
Christ.
We love
Hey,
you.
Thank you,
Also,
Trey.
yeah, bye, Trey. I love you, buddy. You're the best. He's got to come on the episode now. And Con, how about next week we show up on time? That's all we ask.
Listen, I'll say okay, but I'm not making promises.
It is a 3-day weekend.
Visit edgingthetruth.com for more information and links to all our social media and podcast directories.